O slight respect of man's nobility! I never shall account it marvellous, that our infirm affection here below thou movest to boasting, when I could not choose, e'en in that region of unwarped desire, in heaven itself, but make my vaunt in thee. Yet cloak thou art soon shortened, for that time, unless thou be eked out from day to day, goes round thee with his shears. Resuming then with greeting such, as Rome was first to bear, but since hath disaccustomed I began, and Beatrice, that a little space was severed, smilled reminding me of her, whose cough emboldened, as the story holds, to first offence the doubting Guinevere. You are my sire, said I, you give me heart freely to speak my thought, above myself you raise me. Through so many streams with joy my soul is filled, that gladness wells from it, so that it bears the mighty tide, and bursts not say then, my honored stem. What ancestors were those you sprang from, and what years were marked in your first childhood? Tell me of the fold, that hath St. John for guardian, what was then its state, and who in it were highest seated? As embers, at the breathing of the wind, their flame enliven, so that light I saw shine at my blandishments, and, as it grew more fair to look on, so with voice more sweet, yet not in this our modern phrase, forthwith it answered, from the day, when it was said Hail Virgin, to the throes, by which my mother, who now is sainted, lightened her of me whom she was heavy with, this fire had come, 550 times and thrice, its beams to re-illumine underneath the foot of its own lion. They, of whom I sprang, and I, had there our birthplace, where the last partition of our city first is reached by him, that runs her annual game. Thus much suffice of my forefathers, who they were, and whence they hither came, more honorable it is to pass in silence than to tell. All those, who in that time were there from Mars until the Baptist, fit to carry arms, were but the fifth of them this day alive. But then the citizen's blood, that now is mixed from Campi and Certaldo and Figheim, ran purely through the last mechanic's veins. Oh, how much better were it, that these people were neighbors to you, and that at Galuzzo and at Trespiano ye should have your boundary, than to have them within, and bear the stench of a Guglion's hind, and Cygnus, him, that hath his eye already keen for bartering. Had not the people, which of all the world degenerates most, been stepdame unto Caesar, but, as a mother, gracious to her son, such one, as hath become a Florentine, and trades and traffics, had been turned adrift to Simifont, where his grandsire plied the beggar's craft. The Conti were possessed of Montemerlo still, the Cerci still were in Acon's parish, nor had haply from Valdegrave passed the Boisbelmont. The city's malady hath ever source in the confusion of its persons, as the bodies, in variety of food, and the blind bull falls with a steeper plunge, than the blind lamb, and oftentimes one sword doth more and better execution, than 5. Mark Luni, Urbisaglia mark, how they are gone, and after them how go Chiusi and Sinigaglia, and 'T will seem no longer new or strange to thee to hear, that families fail, when cities have their end. All things, that appertain to ye, like yourselves, are mortal, but mortality in some ye mark not, they endure so long, and you pass by so suddenly. And as the moon doth, by the rolling of her heave ly sphere, hide and reveal the strand unceasingly, so fortune deals with Florence. Hence admire not at what of them I tell thee, whose renown time covers, the first Florentines. I saw the Uggi, Catalini and Philippi, the Alberici, Grisi and Ormani, now in their wane, illustrious citizens, and great as ancient, of Sinellahim, with him of Arkasaw, and Soldinieri and Ardinghi, and Bostici. At the poop, that now is laden with new felony, so Cumros it may speedily sink the bark, the Ravignani sat, of whom is sprung the County Guido, and whoso hath since his title from the famed Belinchantane. Fair governance was yet an art well prized by him of Pressa. Galileo showed the gilded hilt and pommel, in his house. The column, clothed with verre, still was seen unshaken, the Sacchetti still were great, Jucci, Safanti, Galli and Barucci, with them who blushed to hear the bushel named. Of the Calfacci still the branchy trunk was in its strength, and to the curule chairs Sitzii and Origucci yet were drawn. How mighty them I saw, whom since their pride hath undone. And in all her goodly deeds Florence was by the bullets of bright gold flourished. Such the sires of those, who now, as surely as your church is vacant, flock into her consistory, and at leisure there stall them and grow fat. The o'erweening brood, that plays the dragon after him that flees, but unto such, as turn and show the tooth, eye or the purse, is gentle as a lamb, was on its rise, but yet so slight esteemed, that Ubertino of Donati grudged his father-in-law should yoke him to its tribe. Already Caponsacco had descended into the mart from Fiesole, and Juda and Infangato were good citizens. A thing incredible I tell, though true, the gateway, named from those of Pera, led into the narrow circuit of your walls. Each one, who bears the sightly quarterings of the great baron, he whose name and worth the festival of Thomas still revives, his knighthood and his privilege retained, albeit one, who borders them with gold, this day is mingled with the common herd. In Borgo yet the Gualterati dwelt, and import uni, well for its repose had it still lacked of newer neighborhood. The house, from whence your tears have had their spring, through the just anger that hath murdered ye and put a period to your gladsome days, was honored, it, and those consorted with it. O Buondelmont! What ill counselling prevailed on thee to break the plighted bond many, who now are weeping, would rejoice, had God to Emma given thee, the first time thou near our city camest. But so was doomed, on that main stone set up to guard the bridge, at thy last peace, the victim, Florence, fell. With these and others like to them, I saw Florence in such assured tranquillity, she had no cause at which to grieve, with these saw her so glorious and so just, that ne'er the lily from the lance had hung reverse, or through division been with vermeil dyed.